The money in your pocket is suddenly worth nothing. It's a nightmare. People are forced to carry bags full of cash just to buy a single loaf of bread. Venezuela, a nation blessed with oil but haunted by power. Today we begin the story of the day everything changed. March 5th, 2013. The announcement that shook the world, Hugo Chavez, the face of the revolution, is dead. The nation mourned. But behind the tears, a cold fear was rising. The king was gone, and the throne was empty. The question on everyone's lips: who will control Venezuela now? The struggle for power had officially begun. April 14th, 2013, Nicolás Maduro is declared the winner. The hand-picked successor takes the lead, but the victory is narrow. But the opposition screams fraud. The streets become a battleground. From day one, the country was a house divided. Venezuela was divided from the very first second, and the collapse, it was only just beginning. The political storm was just the beginning. In 2014, the very foundation of Venezuela's wealth began to crumble. 2014, global oil prices collapse. For a nation that depends almost entirely on oil, the government's main income vanishes overnight. By 2016, inflation goes wild. Prices rise so fast they become uncontrollable. The money in your pocket is suddenly worth nothing. It's a nightmare. People are forced to carry bags full of cash just to buy a single loaf of bread. Survival becomes a full-time job. But the worst was yet to come. By 2017, the economic disaster turned into a human tragedy. Food shortages are everywhere. The shelves are empty, and hunger becomes a constant companion for millions of families. Hospitals run out of medicine. Desperate and hungry citizens begin to flee their homeland. The great exodus has begun. The country was on its knees, but the struggle was far from over. The economic collapse was a tragedy, but in 2017, the tragedy turned into a fierce, bloody uprising. April 2017. Thousands take to the streets against Maduro. Security forces clash with civilians in a wave of violence that shakes the nation. The cost of defiance is high. Many are injured, many are killed, but the spirit of resistance refuses to break. By 2019, the political chaos reached a breaking point. Suddenly, there wasn't just one leader, but two. January 23, 2019. Juan Guaidó declares himself interim president. Venezuela is now a nation with two men claiming the throne. The world takes sides. The U.S. supports Guaidó, while Russia and China back Maduro. Venezuela becomes a global power struggle. A nation caught in the middle of a global chess game. The fight for the future of Venezuela had only just begun. The global power struggle was only the beginning. In 2019, a new weapon was unleashed: the economic war. The U.S. imposes heavy sanctions, choking the nation's lifeblood, its oil exports. For Venezuela, the economy becomes even worse. The economy, already on the brink, falls into the abyss. The struggle to survive is now a siege on every household. Faced with global pressure, Maduro doesn't back down. Instead, he tightens his grip on the nation. Opposition leaders are arrested. Government control becomes absolute. Power is no longer shared. It is centralized. The sanctions were a weapon of war, and the nation was the battlefield. The siege of Venezuela had entered its darkest chapter. The economic siege and political chaos led to a historic breaking point. A nation began to empty itself into the world. Between 2018 and 2023, over 7 million people leave Venezuela. It becomes one of the largest migrations in modern history. A nation's heart is being scattered across borders. For millions, staying meant a slow death. Leaving was the only hope. But the numbers only tell half the story. The real tragedy is the families being torn apart at the roots. Parents are forced to leave their children behind, promising a future they can't yet see. A generation is growing up with parents they only know through a screen. Many risk everything on dangerous journeys through jungles and across borders. There is no plan. Survival is the only goal. A nation in exile, searching for a place to breathe. The story of Venezuela is now a story written in footsteps across the world. The pressure had reached a boiling point. In late 2025, a line was drawn in the sand. A choice was given that would change everything. The U.S. issues a final ultimatum. Maduro must step down. The world waits, holding its breath for a response that will define the future. But he refuses. The door to a peaceful transition is slammed shut. Defiance becomes his only answer. When diplomacy fails, shadows take over. Deep within the halls of power, a new mission is born. U.S. intelligence begins to track every movement. From the shadows, they watch, they wait, and they prepare for the moment to strike. A secret mission is being prepared in total silence, a mission with one objective and no room for error. The world has no idea what is coming. The codename is set. Operation Absolute Resolve. The clock is ticking. January 3rd, 2026, 2 in the morning. The silence of Caracas is shattered by the sound of 100 engines. The 0 hour has arrived. Massive explosions rock the city. Over 150 aircraft fill the sky. Air defenses are destroyed in a matter of minutes. A full military strike hits the heart of the country. The strikes are surgical, relentless, and absolute. The world watches in shock as the grip of power is forcibly torn away. While the sky burns, the ground operation begins. Special forces move through the shadows toward their primary target. The storming of the residence is swift. Maduro and his wife are taken into custody. The man who once ruled with an iron fist is now a prisoner. Within hours, he is flown out of the country under total secrecy. The night of fire has ended a decade of struggle in just one night. The king has fallen. But for Venezuela, is this a new beginning or the start of something even more uncertain? The 0 hour has passed. The world wakes up to a reality no one thought possible. A sitting president, taken in the dead of night. January 2026. Nicolás Maduro is no longer in Caracas. He is moved under heavy guard to New York City, a prisoner of the very power he defied. The charges are staggering: drug trafficking and narco-terrorism. For the first time in history, a sitting leader is facing justice in a foreign land. But while the U.S. calls it justice, the rest of the world is in shock. The shockwaves are felt in every capital. From Moscow to Beijing, the condemnation is swift. Many countries call the extraction illegal, a violation of national sovereignty. The lines are drawn. Is this a victory for the rule of law or a dangerous precedent that will haunt global politics forever? The king is gone, but the throne is not empty. The question that now haunts every street corner: who controls the country now? The vice president takes over temporarily, but the transition is anything but smooth. Political confusion spreads like wildfire through the halls of power. The very foundation of the state begins to buckle. Without its core, the government becomes an unstable machine, threatening to collapse from within. As the government stumbles, the people take to the streets, but they are not united in their vision for what comes next. In some neighborhoods, there is celebration, a hope for a new dawn. In others, there is fierce protest, a refusal to accept this new reality. The country is split down the middle. One side sees liberation, the other sees a coup. Venezuela is now a house divided, and the foundation is shaking. The fight for the soul of the nation has reached its peak. The path forward is buried in shadows, and the world can only watch as the future of Venezuela hangs in the balance. The scene of the struggle has shifted, from the streets of Caracas to the highest courts of the world. March 2026, the trial begins. Nicolás Maduro stands in a U.S. courtroom. He denies every charge, every allegation. This is no longer just a trial. It is a case that could rewrite international law. The world watches as the defense is mounted, a sitting president in a foreign dock claiming his removal was an act of war, not justice. But as the legal battle rages, a deeper question remains. Is he a fallen dictator or a president in exile? The world cannot agree. To some, he remains the only legitimate leader of Venezuela. To others, his era ended the moment he was taken. The confusion echoes through every embassy and every capital. The gavel has not yet fallen on the ultimate verdict. Venezuela's future is no longer decided in its own capital, but in the cold light of a foreign courtroom. The soul of a nation remains in limbo. But as the world watches, 4 possible paths lie ahead for the man once known as the King of Caracas. Outcome 1, conviction. If found guilty, Maduro faces a lifetime behind bars in a U.S. federal prison, the ultimate fall from grace. Outcome 2, a political deal. In the shadows of power, negotiations could lead to a prisoner exchange. He could be released, but at what cost to justice? For the nation, the future is a coin toss. New leadership could lead to a slow, painful rebuild, or the vacuum could ignite a new struggle for power and more chaos. But here is the truth you should know. What we have witnessed is extremely rare in world history. A sitting president, captured from his own soil by another nation's military. Whether it is a new beginning or a darker end, the world will never look at power the same way again. The story of Venezuela is a warning to every leader on earth. Power is temporary, justice is absolute.